If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
So what is the most important midterm election of your life? Now, I'm going to say this for the next 56 days. Last night, I called on you to wake up, pay attention. Republicans, to be very blunt, they're in real danger of losing the House of Representatives. And the Senate, I'm not that comfortable about that either.
I love listening to him. He's like terrified. I want you to wake up. No, what you want them to be is woke. Look, there's a chance the Republicans are going to lose. That's on them, right? You can blame Trump on some of that stuff. It's kind of on them, though, because they really haven't done anything. And it really makes me laugh. I listen to the craziness of it all, and I just sit back and I think, a lot of people I talk to. I was just talking to Phil about this. It's like I just think it's a bunch of BS. It really is anymore at this point in time. It really is. You're trying to get enough of your tribe to do something, so you create a monster, and hopefully that monster resonates. Oh my God, this monster's coming after us, and we got to do this. And yes, it's a bunch of crap. It really is. It is a bunch of crap. The Dems are coming hard. They don't have to really come hard. First of all, we like to check ourselves in this country, as we all know. We've seen it in past midterm elections. So there's that. Secondly, the Republicans only have themselves to blame for their failures. You can blame Trump all you want if that's what ends up happening and you get your ass handed to you, right? But what have you done outside of any of that? All the stuff you promised. That's why listening to a politician if their mouth is moving, there's a chance of telling a lie. Not that they don't want to do some of those things that they promise you. The reality is, though, that they're just one spoke in a wheel of many, and for them to actually do the things they promised, that's why it's amazing. And we still go back to it. That's on us. That's on us being stupid, right? Like, that's our stupidity. It's like, I'll go back to that. He promised me. This time he swears. She said she was going to do this. She promised. They're not doing anything, right? They're just another piece of a puzzle, and that's it. That's all they are. It's just another piece of a puzzle. So midterms are going to come. People are going to freak out, and it's, and when I watch both sides fight, you've got to create a monster. And both sides, they do a good job of creating a monster. Like, look at the Brett Kavanaugh stuff, for God's sakes. You go through and you watch all of this stuff. They've literally made him, they're creating a monster. I saw that Susan Collins, she got like 5,000 coat hangers sent to her. Like, this guy is he's Dr. Giggles. Remember that horror movie? Somebody's going to go, I remember that movie. But that's the insanity of it all. And we work ourselves up. I was just reading an article where there's a professor in Las Vegas who was so worked up over Trump that in protest, he took a gun onto campus and he shot himself in the arm to protest Donald Trump. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with people?
Storm headed toward the coast. We know the wind's going to be in our face. We don't know whether it's going to be category 3, 4, or 5. And the reason I say that is you can't repeal history. And almost every election, 2 years into any new administration, the party of the presidency loses seats. They don't always lose the body, but almost always loses seats.
Yeah, and they're going to lose seats. They are. They're going to lose seats. And then what happens? Well, you have the usual thing that we have, which basically just is, and that's it. And that's it. And then we'll swing back one way and we swing another way. But it's all a giant game. They all lie to us for their votes as if they're going to do something magical. And the reality is they're not going to do anything magical. They're not going to go in there and change anything. They're not going to really do anything. I mean, if they wanted to do stuff, they'd get it done. They would. But neither of the parties really have any incentive to get it done, only when it becomes such an issue and that people shout so loud in a certain way and it makes them all look bad that they decide, now is the time we should act upon something. But what if the Democrats win? Please tell us, Sean.
Democrats win these races, the Trump agenda will be stopped. It'll halt right in its tracks. All the progress we've been telling you about, the Democrats, their insane quest for impeachment will begin in earnest. Just listen to Chuck and Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters. She's nuts, right? Can we just all agree that at some point in time she's lost the plot? And now the spiel she's got is become so... It's like I was talking to producer Anthony today. You know what it is? It's a set. Like, it's the same everywhere she goes. It's like she's doing a comedy set. Like, this is my open, and this is my middle, and this is the drop the mic moment, and all of those things. And here's the funny thing. Listen to her. She goes, she does the things that she does, and she screams impeachment.
I'm in this fight, and I'm not going to move. And as you know, there's a difference in how some of our leadership talk about how we should handle all of this. They say, Maxine, please don't say impeachment anymore. And when they say that, I say impeachment, 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 impeachment,
impeachment. Impeachment. So you think to yourself, so they want Trump out of there. It's not stopping with Trump, right? It's not. This is the epitome of sore loser.
And someone asked, but what about Pence? If you were able to impeach, Pence will be worse. And I said, look, one at a time. You knock one down, and then we'll be ready for Pence. We'll get him too.
Oh, so that's just it. So your side loses, and the answer is, we're just going to go after you and impeach every single person. So then when the Republicans lose and there's a Democrat in the White House, they will do the same thing. And what we'll have is upheaval 24/7. We already have a do-nothing government that spends money like it's like they print it. Oh, wait, they do. But that's okay because they're printing money in your name and in my name. And this is the stuff we get from it. Think about this. You listen to her, right? You may even be on the left. But at some point in time, if you're honest with yourself, you're like, I can't believe she's in government. I can't believe that like people were like, hey, she's a great idea. Like this, here's a good idea. Her. She's going to do everybody a solid. She's not. Most of them aren't, right or left. But it's hilarious. Like, are we at the point where we're so tribal, like this is what's going to happen? That we're just going to go back and forth impeaching each other's president because we don't like the way that a result worked out? Right? I'm sorry, you guys won, but we're going to call you cheaters, and now we're going to impeach your guy or your gal, so deal with it. And then vice versa, that's going to happen. And it's frustrating as hell. It is. It's a bunch of BS. And all these other talking head shows out there that, they're just so full of crap, and they're into their own agenda, and they're appealing to their shrinking but rabid base of people who are slowly but surely dying off, and they're talking to the person that's only watching MSNBC all day and making their homemade jam, and then they're talking to the 75-year-old white guy sitting next to his dog Blue who watches Fox 24/7. The reality is we are the alt middle, right? Like common sense people. We sit here and I look around, I think, where do I go, right? Like, where am I going? Because I don't like you very much, and I don't like you very much. But unfortunately, my choice is either or, and that's not a choice I want. It's not. And it's frustrating as hell because I know you're not really here to do much of anything. You're in it to win it for yourself. And it's frustrating. I would love to say throw them all out, but that's not the reality is it's not. The system's not fair, it's not set up to throw them all out. And now we're heading into midterms and we're getting inundated with nothing but negative ads and how horrible the other person is, because the reality is nobody on either side has any real idea about anything or any fresh ideas about doing something real. And even if they did, they're told by the party leaders, don't talk about that kind of stuff because wink, wink, it's a game. You come here fresh-faced, ready to change the world. Slow down, young man. You're not changing anything. This is how it's done. We do our thing, and the people take it because they don't have a better option. That's frustrating. That's so frustrating. I'm just, I sit back and just say, just absolute crap. It really is. Don't you want the Republicans to win? Have they done enough to win? Honestly. Have they done enough to win? If you're honest with yourself. Probably not. Here's the other honesty. Have the Democrats done enough to win? Probably not. But as our buddies at South Park said, giant douche or turd sandwich, those are your choices. And that's what we have to choose from. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
The one that's getting the most buzz is the least expensive, expected to be somewhere in the high $600 to low $700 range. Not cheap, but still a far cry from the $1,000 iPhone X they unveiled last time. This one will have an LCD screen, and the buzz is about the fact that it should be 6.1 inches. That's bigger than the current iPhone X.
Yeah, she said inches. I was talking to somebody today who's a huge fan of Apple. So they unveil all of their stuff today, and they've got it's like Tesla. They got the Tesla, and then they got this one, and then there's this economy model. But I was talking to him, and he's an Apple junkie. He loves himself some Apple. He's like one of those people. And he was telling me that, why are they making it bigger? Because the whole point is it didn't do what they thought it was going to do last time, and so many people complained about it, and they wanted a smaller phone, but now they've gone bigger. And I think a lot of that was because apparently the curve didn't work right, and it broke, and all of this kind of stuff, and people are having issues with it, fraying on the sides and the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, and I'll tell you why one of the reasons they're going bigger. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now, because we're not going to be on computers much longer. I mean, for your basic staple of certain things, or if that is your job, by and large, though, as human beings, we're moving away from tablets. We're moving away from computers. They were nice, but our life is in our hands, literally. So why we want a screen that's big enough that we can do some stuff on, and at the same time, tablets. I mean, even me. I mean, I've got tablets. I got all kinds of crap in here. The fact is I'm on my phone far more than I am on any of this other stuff. It's true. And with the advancement in the way that you can type and do things and Grammarly and all this stuff, you could just do one run-on sentence, plug it into something like that. It'll pounce it out for you and away you go. So, yeah, I see why we're moving away. The other thing that I found to be interesting, and producer Phil brought something up when we were talking about this earlier, but check this out.
This is the first ECG product offered over the counter directly to consumers.
Chad Benson Bruce. So the electrocardiogram, and producer Phil and I were talking. He's like, Chad, let me ask you a question. I said, sure, Phil, shoot. And he said, what's their target audience? And I'm like, I don't know, like 15 to 35 or something. He goes, and how many of them need an electrocardiogram? I'm like, probably not many, but it's going to have like some AFib, DFib thing that it's, and part of it is the watch, Fitbit, smart side of things That, I would say, is a little bit older. When I see people with watches, right, it's a little bit older. I don't see too many kids with that. And I think for an older generation, by older generation, I mean people in their late 30s, early 40s, it might be something neat. I mean, I've got a Samsung watch right here. It does everything. Tells you how many steps you've taken today. By the way, I've taken just about 11,000 steps today. I'm off. How long my works out have been this week. I've done 3 hours and 24 minutes of workout, but it tells me about my heart just as much. Let's see here. On average this week, 61 to 77, my heartbeat, and it's got a bunch of other stuff, medical stuff you can do here. How many floors I've walked today. I get it, I guess, but this is going to, how much do you trust the EKG on this, though? That's interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Hey, by the way, if you have any urban words of the day, people sending me stuff, feel free to do it. You can send it straight to me, DM me on Facebook or on Twitter. Shoot it to me. Say, hey, I heard this. The kids are using this nowadays. Doesn't matter what it is, urban words, some sort of slang they use in texting. Send it to us. We'll gladly get it out there for you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Without a further ado, ladies and gents, here's your urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
Now, producer Phil, you and I are of the same age bracket, and some of these stuff, I see the kids doing it. They take a phrase that we may have used, or mom and dad may have used, and they repurpose it for their own. And out of pocket, man, I'm out of pocket. Like when I was a kid, it's like, oh, where were you, dude? I couldn't get a hold of you. I was out of pocket for the weekend. Like you couldn't get a hold of somebody, but now apparently out of pocket means to take extreme offense. So if somebody says, your kid says, I'm out of pocket, Mom, that means apparently they're offended by something. So they're recycling even our urban words in this day and age. That's just crazy, kids. Your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
You can text the program, 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I will tell you, our urban, there's an urban legend out there about people get their kidneys stolen from them and all of this stuff. To me, I've got to be honest with you. I think we should be able to sell our kidneys. And I know that's weird. That's our question of the day is, should we be able to sell our body parts? And I'm not talking about, you want my arm. I'm talking about like if somebody comes to you and says, hey, man, I'll give you $100,000 for your kidneys. My mom needs it. And you're going to give a kidney. And usually if one kidney's failing, both kidneys are failing. Rarely ever, if ever, does one kidney just fail on its own. So, and people are pissed off. They're pissed off by this question. And it's funny to see how angry people get because they always want to talk about, I want all of this control for my body. It's all mine. But when you say something like this and you present a question like that, it's funny to see how people start jumping up and become very moralistic when they're not moralistic about other things. What do you think? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You can tweet at me whether you love me or hate me. You know what? I was talking to producer Phil. Like, people tweet at you all the time. And in this business, I don't care what business. To be honest with you, anymore, it doesn't matter what you do. And when I see people that, like, they tweet just awful stuff at people or just, I got to say something cruel, it makes me laugh because I think to myself, how miserable are you? Like, if I don't like something, I just don't like it. I don't have to tell the world that. And I don't want to take any more time out of my day to put thought and effort into something. And so many people do. And that's tribalism, whatever you want to call it. It's just, it really is kind of bizarre that people do those kind of things. Like, I'm mad at you or I don't like you, so I'm going to go to Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or wherever, I can insult you and make sure that I tell you you're a blankety, 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 blank. And you think to yourself, first of all, good luck to you. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, right? I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And it's funny because I get accused by both sides of being one way or another, which to me, I'm totally happy with. Because if I'm doing that, then chances are, I've hit a sore spot for you, and maybe I've challenged a belief of yours, and you don't want it challenged, and so your way to answer that is to kick me in the shins and run away. And I'm okay with that. Again, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not, and I'm okay with that. I don't like your show. Well, listen to something else. There's plenty of shows out there that are gonna give you everything you need. We've never been in the time and in the place where you can find all of the media that will give you the affirmation for your belief. That's the beauty of the way we live now. It really, really is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So I asked a question earlier, and it's our Twitter poll of the day. Should you be able to sell your organs? And people, it's weird. The 72% of you say, yeah, it's your body, right? You should do whatever you want with it. But the people that don't is very interesting. The way that they try, it's morally wrong. Why is it morally wrong? My morals. Well, again, your morals are your morals. Why? I mean, that's my thing is, why is it morally wrong? What about this is morally wrong to you? And the thing I get, it's the funny thing is, from the left, and this is what's hilarious, right? So the left is all, you know what? Women should have the right to choose. It's their body. You should be able to do whatever the hell you want with it. I'm totally fine with that. But when you go out and say, I think you should be able to sell your organs like a kidney, people say, well, it's not fair because the 1% will buy them. Well, it's your body. Yeah, it's a different thing, though, because that's how we pick and choose our belief system right there. Because if you believe it's your body, and people say, well, I don't think the government should be able to tell us what we should do with our body. I agree 110%. 110%, I absolutely agree. But the government does. It tells you what you can and can't smoke or do with your body, where you can and can't, all these kind of things. And it's weird because it also tells you what you can kind of sell body-wise. You can rent your womb. You could sell your eggs, your sperm, plasma, hair. That's odd, right? But I can't sell my kidney? 100 people die a day and I can't sell my kidney? Think about that. By the time the show's on tonight, what, like six people? Some of them may be heart, but, your liver regenerates itself. So you're not giving the whole liver, you're giving a portion of it. My liver and kidneys. My liver and kidneys. Fantastic. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Oh, my goodness. I'm just saying. It's funny how people get all weird when you start talking about stuff. Woman wants to sell her body. Man wants to sell his body. Wants to do it in his own home. Wants to do it quietly. No, it's wrong. You want to do it on television? You want to do it on a camera and say it's porn? Yeah, you're fine. Semantics. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So, income, kids.
Back in the year 2000, the Pew Research Center says the typical family of three had an income of around $78,000 a year back in 2000. Now, during the Great Recession, it dropped to $74,000 by 2010. In 2016, it finally reached back to just over $78,000 a year.
So income's going up. That's good. Now, here's the issue, and this is what the left will run with. Now, look at this. Typical family of three right now. In 2000, average income about $78,000. It's gone up. We're getting closer and closer back to when it was good. Think about this in 2016.
Now, the average household income in 2016 was $59,000.
$59,000. So we're moving up. But the issue is going to be what?
Now, the study also says the poor have yet to recover, earning $27,000 in 2000 and $25,600 in 2016, while upper income families have actually increased from $183,000 in 2000 to $187,000 in 2016.
Oh, it's the rich getting richer, Chad. It's what it always is. It's got to go somewhere. It's going to trickle down. It's not going to trickle down. Yesterday when I was talking about socialism and just, the people that go out there and they attack you. Oh, socialism, you don't even understand. Let me tell you, what I told you yesterday, they're like, Chad, you go look at their income tax. They don't get, look what they make. It's not as big as you think. I said, you don't understand how it works over there. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I was trying to tell somebody today, perfect example of, you see our income's rising. We've got income tax and we have sales tax and some people have state tax. Now think about it here. If we had to have a VAT, a national VAT on everything. So your state may still have a tax, right? Your city may still have a tax on purchases. Right? So you got your income tax. Let's say you're living in California and you're paying 25% income tax, 10% state tax. You got sales tax. And then they decided, hey, we're going to have a VAT, a value added tax across the board on all goods, minus a few things. And it's going to be 25%, which disproportionately hurts lower income people than it does wealthier people. So you want to go buy something. On top of all your other taxes you're paying, you're going to pay 25% on top of that. So it's a tax that everybody has to pay. And that's not a good thing. It's not. Doesn't help. If you go back and look at Sweden, right? You go back and look at like 1970 when the socialism kind of programs, because they're not socialists, it's a free market, but the programs came in and the left-leaning parties took over. They produced tons of goods and all of these things. They had wealth. And then, of course, somebody comes along, as they always do, and say, hey, I got a great idea. Let's give some of that wealth to a bunch of other people. And what ends up usually happening, right? The many vote against the few to take what the few have created, and somebody's promised them this great opportunity of giving them stuff, and it's going to make the world a better place. So people go and do that. And then what happened? Companies left. Things went to hell in a handbasket as far as their money. And they went from being a very wealthy to just kind of a Midland thing. And then lo and behold, center right kind of got in there. They started deregulating things. Perfect example is the telecom industry. Then you got Ericsson and you got, I forgot the other one. Boom. All of a sudden you got that. It sounds wonderful, but it's funny how people, because it's like anything else. Like we were talking about earlier. I'm never going to tell you who to vote for. Never going to tell you who to vote for, right? Your experience in life is your experience. If you feel the world's out to get you, that's the victimization that you have because you are black or you're female or you're gay or you're lower income and you've got, and you're going to wear that as a victimization card. I can't tell you not to. That's on you, right? I could just, these are the facts. Take a look at this. And if you are going to say, I'm a victim. And yesterday when I talked about socialism, it was an attack left, right, and center. And what was it always about? The 1%, the wealthy. Why is everybody so obsessed with what everybody else has? Other things. Why? I'm curious about the way that people attack these kind of things. And over and over again, no matter how many times I tell you, the only way we're going to be equal is if we chop down the top so everybody comes down. It's never the other way. We're like, hey, let's get people to the top with us. It's always, nope, it's easier to chop. And it's funny that way. But once again, what happens? People come out and attack you. You give a different perspective. I'm not even saying, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just throwing stuff at you. If you're open up your mind enough to take a look and say, well, maybe it's not all that a bag of chips. Why is America the way it is? Well, capitalism is always evil. It always runs unchecked. Capitalism is completely checked. You have power brokers. What do you have to do? You have to go and you have lobbyists. What do lobbyists do? They go on the behalf of whoever and have to pay their dowry or their whatever it is, their tithe to whatever king or queen or duke or duchess, congressperson or senator. And then they work a little something. the reality is with laws and all the things we have, capitalism is not unchecked. The free market will take care of itself. The problem is the free market's never allowed to be free. Never allowed to be free. Because everybody wants a piece of control. And so how would we know how free we could make it? Still the best system out there. I think it could be better. Who am I, though? I'm just a schlep. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I love MyPillow. MyPillow. You know what's great about MyPillow? Everything. Look, I'm a go gadget kind of guy. I'm always going. In fact, in between here, I'm messing with video editing stuff. I'm checking stuff out. I'm doing 55 things. I need to feel like I got energy. I've always got energy, but every once in a while, no matter who we are, you can drag a little bit. And time is the greatest commodity we have. And to spend 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in your bed and be uncomfortable and tossing and turning, it's not good for your health. It's not good for your weight and appearance, and it's not good for your productivity. That's where MyPillow comes in. One small little change goes a long distance. Right now, they got a buy one, get one free offer. It's back by popular demand. Remember, MyPillow is 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. You're going to love it. That's what I want you to do. Try it. If you're skeptical, I understand. Put your skepticism to the test. All right? Do it. Call 800-944-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. You're going to get 2 MyPillows for the price of one. Better night's rest, world's most comfortable pillow. Promo code Benson. Go to MyPillow.com. Call 800-944-4975 or MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It is the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
So listen to this. This will make you go, what?
The Space Force that Donald Trump is very excited about. He announced at Space Force. People make fun of it. I among them.
Yeah.
I like space exploration. I'm excited about us conquering space scientifically and through knowledge. Why do we need the Space Force? What don't we understand about it? Because you say you're on board.
Well, just because it came out of Trump's mouth doesn't require that it then be a crazy thing. I'm just saying.
Yeah, how about that? Neil deGrasse Tyson right there. Just because Trump says it doesn't mean it's nuts. And here's one of the things where, all right, you're like, we're talking space, deep space, all of that stuff. Like, this is his jam. This is where you're like, okay, I'm listening now. I know they drag you in for everything. You know, hey, transgender issue, you're a scientist. I mean, but you talk about this. No, this is Tyson's jam.
I can tell you that many people are thinking that we didn't have a Space Force before, and now we're going to have a Space Force. We have a Space Force. It's called the United States Space Command, and it is under the auspices of the Air Force.
Really?
We already have a presence in space. The Air Force launches satellites. The Air Force put GPS satellites into orbit around the Earth.
So NASA didn't do that? The Air Force did that?
Air Force did it because it was a military project.
Nah, see, we have a Space Force, but here's the thing, and I think we can all, if we're honest with ourselves, you want a jumpsuit with a patch, right? Like, don't we always? And a phaser. I want to be able to go, Phil, 2489er, bring me up, and we all want that. That's what we want. We think of Space Force. We think of like a space, and we got like the skull and crossbones space stuff and all the. That's what we want, like, right? That's what we think of. We know there's space stuff. Come on, not all of those satellites in space, right? Here's my conspiracy theory, and you know me and conspiracy theories. I don't really travel very far. I always thought Reagan built Star Wars. Like, we got Star Wars built. All that dark money that just says, just black money that's out there, as far as like you go and look on a balance sheet and it says like $500 billion and it says nothing. I always thought we got something done. I did.
The United States Space Command is responsible for all the space activities that the military has engaged in forever, ever since the 1960s, basically. And so to have a Space Force, you're just sliding all of these activities under this new umbrella. And then you might add a few things. In fact, if I had any say in the matter, I'd say, why don't you throw in asteroid defense? We need some of that.
Ooh, now that right there makes me smile. Asteroid defense. Because I'm going to be honest, I've seen a documentary called Armageddon. That's a documentary, right, Phil? Sure. They killed Owen Wilson. I've always thought about it. Like, what if? I mean, come on. I love how it's not. How do you know it's not possible? And why shouldn't we have some sort of like super double triple backup as a just in case?
This is not a new thing because we've had space assets, military space assets, since the 60s. What is a spy satellite? It's a space asset in the service of the military. The 2003 Gulf War was enabled by space assets.
Okay, but here's my thing: is that if you call it a space force, you're innately embracing the idea of space war.
Yeah.
Isn't the promise of the future in space is that we have peaceful frontiers?
Never going to happen. Never going to happen. Ever. Because anytime somebody goes somewhere and there's space, somebody's going to want to make it their own. You're in my space. You're bugging me. Why are you here? And what if somebody comes from somewhere else? I mean, we always, in 2 months, it'll be, Christopher Columbus and all this kind of stuff. We'll talk about that. And people will talk about that, he came here, that was his space. What if somebody, quote unquote, like a Christopher Columbus and they come here? Shouldn't we be prepared? Right? Once again, saw another documentary called Independence Day, and it was pretty real. I'm just, some of it maybe was like CGI and some stuff, but by and large, it was all real footage. So shouldn't we be prepared? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. The funniest thing is when Neil deGrasse Tyson said, just because Trump says it doesn't mean he's crazy. Oh, my Lord. That just freaked him out right there. He thought, where am I? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
They haven't seen anything like what's coming at us in 25, 30 years, maybe ever. It's tremendously big and tremendously wet.
Did you hear that, producer Phil? It's coming at you, right? Because it's going to be wet. It's coming at you. It's tremendously wet. It's not regular wet, too. It's like, is this extra wet? You're like, yeah. Oh, wow, this is awesome. So Florence is big. It's a big, look, she's Aunt Flo is just, she's awful, and it's nasty out there, and you got to be prepared for it. And it's, here's my thing. I'm watching a lot of this, and this is just, again, me throwing it out there. I look at this stuff and I say to self, some of the coverage is good. I understand. We all need the CNNs and everybody need the coverage. But the way that they're covering it is Puerto Rico versus how this disaster might play itself out and how did Trump do in this situation. Almost like, okay, this is another chance for him to screw up. It is. And the numbers, 3,000 people died. If you look at how they calculated the 3,000 people that died, 67, I think, or 76, something like that, were direct result of the hurricane. The rest were, if the hurricane hadn't happened, there's a chance that these people would be alive. But because the hurricane happened, whether it be lack of medical supplies or things like this, they died, and they attributed that to that. So it's not like we found another 2,900 bodies over here. That's not the way it is. But I find it interesting because they'll come on, they'll say it's a Hurricane 4, it's a Cat 4 and it's coming and it could be stalling out over here and it's going to be extremely wet, as the president said, and it's going to attack everywhere through this coast, and it could flooding and 5, 6, 8 inches here, 12 inches there, here could be spared and it could stall out here and blah, 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 blah. And then they'll come back and they're like, well, Trump and Puerto Rico, and they go right back to it. And part of it's because Trump came out and said, Puerto Rico was awesome. We did a great job.
I think that Puerto Rico was an incredible, unsung success.
Yeah, I'm going to pass. I don't think it was. I got to be honest. I don't blame it all on you, because I think a lot of times what happens in situations like this, and I think we saw this in New Orleans, and we'll see this elsewhere, is you're only as good as the people that are on the ground there. And Puerto Rico's got a lot of issues. They have a lot of issues outside of federal government being involved in a situation like this. And we've seen that. So do I think it was a smashing success? I do not. I would probably give it a D. Probably. But that's what draws people in to give him more criticism that he don't need to talk about that. Move on from there. Let's move on to what's coming now. Puerto Rico's happened. There's still a mess down there. Luis, who fills in for you, producer Phil, he's from Puerto Rico. He was telling me, he went down there. He's like, it's a disaster still. The roads, there's no electricity in certain areas. It's a mess. But then he says, I'm from there, and it was kind of a mess before that, too. This is just, now it's like extra messy. Instead of getting the 32 ounce, they got the 48 ounce. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. The Democrats, no matter how you cut it, the polls that you look at right now, they've got a lead, and it's, is the tsunami coming? I told everybody it's possible. It is really possible the tsunami's coming, and you have to ask yourself the question, what happens? Not only with Trump, but you look at all the stuff that Republicans have tried to do, or Trump has done through executive orders, and the fact that they want to reverse a lot of things and they're going to put up all the stuff. How does that affect us in our wallet and pocketbook? Because we always, whether people want to believe it or not, we're selfish in the way that we vote, and there is nothing wrong with that, right? We vote for our own best interest, and that's the way it is.
We're happy to get this primary season over and focused on the general election and make the contrast between what Republicans are putting forward, which is a robust economy, a vision for America that's making lives better, and the Democrats are putting forward, which is resist and obstruct and stop this economic boom at any cost.
Is it possible? That's Rami McDaniel, RNC chairwoman. Here's if you're the Democrats, right? So if you're the Democrats, you got to ask yourself this question. You win, and then you really try to stall everything in the midst of an economy that's roaring. But you ask yourself the question, and I think it depends on a few things. First, the economy's cyclical. We've had a great run here. I will tell you this, in the next 2 years, we're going to have a slowdown. It's not going to be like 2007, but I do believe at some point in time that in the next 24 months, we are going to have a pullback, and it may last 6 months. It may last a little bit longer, but I don't think, even though in theory, if you look at how this thing is right now, we're probably in some shape worse than 2007, but I don't think that we're going to have an issue like we saw before. If you're the Democrats and you decide that you're going to throw a monkey wrench in everything while the economy is motoring and you slow it down prematurely, you give yourself, and again, it depends on how you do it. But if it's an impeachment thing and the country's not really, they don't have that appetite for impeachment, and they see this thing going south, things get nervous, the market tanks, and all of a sudden you're standing there and he wanders through it, you've now set yourself up for 2020, and they tried to screw us, America. Look what they did, America. Guess what, America? We were rocking and rolling, and they came in and ruined the party, and people would go, yeah, that's true. That's true. So that's why they have to, I think, be careful on how they do it.
The socialist movement within the Democrat Party is growing. It should be concerning every American, Republican and Democrat, because go look at socialism, go look at Venezuela. This is frightening. It is not what we want for our democracy. But these candidates on the far left of the Democrat Party are getting traction.
Yeah, no, it's not what we want. And they'll say, it's not, we're not talking about that. We're not. We're not talking about Venezuela. We're talking about Scandinavia. And then I explained to you that it's not the way it works in Scandinavia. And they're actually a free market society. They just have high taxes. And everybody says, well, their income tax isn't high and their corporate rate is low. And I'm like, yeah, that's because they tax everybody. Well, how did they do that? They do that with the VAT, value added tax. So imagine having a nationwide tax that adds 25% onto all goods, not counting the fact that we have state tax, city tax, and your income tax on top of all of that. All of a sudden you look up and you're like, whoa, that's not cool. No, it's not. And in some of the other countries, it's your age. Under 30, you get taxed a little bit more. There's a lot of things that play into these whole socialist program. And remember, they have socialist programs, not socialists. When we talk about socialism, and you're Jim Carrey, we should not run from the word socialism. We should be all about it. Socialism goes on in Venezuela, North Korea, places like that. I mean, that's, communism to the extent, but that's how socialism and communism, they're all kind of under all the same umbrella. So, no, we're not going to become Venezuela, but we could easily really take it in the shorts if they got their way. And what's their way?
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi has said we're going to raise taxes. She has said that. She called these bonuses, these $1,000 bonuses that people received in these bigger paychecks, crumbs. She's totally out of touch with middle America. They're talking about abolishing ICE. I mean, what they are putting forward is something that will hurt every American.
Yeah. And look, telling Americans we gave you a tax break, but we decided we're going to take some of these tax breaks back isn't going to win you favor. It isn't. And I'd love to see it. I think it would be, I would love to see the way that they're going to handle this, because I do think they're going to take back the House. The Senate, they've got a lot of seats to defend there, and some of them are in states that are red and have gone for Trump, and there is going to be a much bigger fight there. But it's a very interesting thing to watch what's going to unfold. And I'm not going to tell you how to vote. If you listen to my show, I'm not here for that. Like a lot of people, a lot of these shows that are out there, I know what they're about. They're going to tell you this, that, and the other. They've got certain agendas, and it's their belief. And for some of them, they've drank way too much Kool-Aid. And for others of them, quite frankly, this is their belief, and this is the pulpit they have. I'm never going to tell you that. I'm going to be straightforward and honest. I'll tell you who I voted for, right? I told everybody I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Kasich. But I want Trump to succeed, and I'll defend him when he needs to be defended, and I will criticize when he needs to be criticized, and I think that's fair. But I'm never going to tell you to vote. But I will tell you this. If I'm a betting man and somebody Phil comes to me today and says, Chad, let's take some Chad Benson show money, right? Because we printed ourselves here. Smells, listen, smells good. And let's put it on blue or red come November. I'm going to put it on blue right now, at least in the House. The Senate, I don't know about that. But in the House, Oh yeah. Yeah, you might get me throw some money down there. You might. Partially because if you look at the Republicans across the board, what have they done to earn the vote? They haven't repealed and replaced. They haven't sorted out immigration. They got taxes through. The debt continues to rise, which is the most dangerous portion of any of the things that are going on in the wars and all this. We need to have a fix on debt, not a war on debt. We do. So I'm asking the question, what have they done to really earn people's votes and trust again? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Oh, kids, we got a poll question up today. We're going to touch on that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
CBS parting ways with the executive producer of 60 Minutes, Jeff Fager, after he was recently named in stories accusing him of fostering an abusive workplace. CBS News President David Rhodes made that announcement Wednesday, 3 days after CBS's CEO Les Moonves left the company following sexual misconduct allegations. An outside law firm has been investigating Fager following reports that he groped women at parties and protected men accused of misconduct. Fager has denied the allegations. His second-in-command will temporarily take charge of the news magazine program.
This is again, another issue here that needs to be looked into. And it's crazy. Norm Macdonald, who I like Norm, his dry sense of humor, he's just, to me, he's hilarious. And he had a Tonight Show appearance canceled because he had kind of stood up and said he's glad to see the Me Too movement kind of slowing down, and he kind of stood up for Louis C.K. and Roseanne Barr. And of course, in this day and age, you can't do that, right? Like you can't do that. You can't, because we live in this day and age of just insanity. I don't know what this guy did. Is it possible he did all these things? Absolutely. Is it possible that he hasn't? Nah. When Norm Macdonald said, I'm glad to see it slow down, I think what he should have said, if you're going to say anything about this, is I think we're starting to see the Me Too movement find its feet and the witch hunt side of it dissipate. But still, they're like, oh, the sensitivity of our audience. That's what they said. Sensitivity of what? Who's watching that tonight? Who's turning on the television, right? And saying, sweet mamma jamma, Norm Macdonald's on, and I saw his tweet. And because of that, I need a trigger warning. There's got to be something. I mean, oh, wow, I can't survive. Part of that's that victim mentality we have in this world. And the more that we do stuff like that, right? The more that we do things like take Norm Macdonald off because he tweeted something and kind of stood up for some of his friends and people he knew, that, he said, I think that Louis at least apologized for that. And, and no, death to you too. Like, you need to suffer now because of that. You need to suffer. Because how dare you go against that thinking? And it's crazy. It really is. And it's very interesting. And one of the things I look at when I look at all of this stuff, right? Like all this, you look at the Me Too movement, which, look, they have every right. There are a lot of horrible human beings in Hollywood that have done horrible things and taken advantage of the power that they've had. And a lot of that is about the power. It's not about the sex or sex. It's about the power they've had over people. And they have used it, abused it, and then some. And they need to be put in a room. People like Weinstein, castrated, and move on with we all need to move on. But what I sit here and I look at, and I see this, how dare you talk about this? I look at the Catholic Church and the things that have gone on there, and I look at what happened with Nasser and the U.S. gymnastics, and I sit there and I say to myself, it's amazing how, like, the media side, the Hollywood side, all of this stuff, and the Me Too and all of these things get all of this, and sometimes it's a he said, she said thing, but we treat them as guilty, and all these women have been victimized, it's horrible, and then we look over and we don't hear anything about that. What about the young boys in the Catholic Church who we know because they paid out and confessed and wrote it down and hid it? What about that? What about those things? It's funny the way that we even look at victims in certain situations, and part of it's because stuff like that is really tough to talk about. So even if it is, we're like, sorry, we're going to sweep that under the rug because this doesn't really have a political kind of slant that we can put to it, and it's tough. It's tough to talk about. I like Norm Macdonald. And if you want to see something funny, and again, for the unpolitically correct, Google Norm Macdonald, Crocodile Hunter, Daily Show, and it is hilarious. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of minds that are fragile, the coddling of the American mind. Greg Lukianoff is going to join us next. Great book. Amazing book. You're going to like this. Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The American mind, especially of the young generation. What have we created? That's what I ask myself. I weep for this nation at times. Joining us now is a man who co-authored a book, and it is an amazing book. And if you really want to look at the American mind, the book's called The Coddling of the American Mind, How the Good Intentions and Bad Ideas Are Setting Up a Generation for Failure. Greg Lukianoff joins us now. And Greg, first of all, what is wrong with this younger generation? I know we've tried, but what have we set ourselves up for?
Well, I always want to be clear. This is entirely our fault. Like, I'm a millennial. I have kids under 3. I'm well aware of the fact that what we argue, both in the article that we wrote in 2015 and in the book, is that we're kind of like pulling out our hairs. Like, why do we have this generation that's so anxious, depressed, and polarized? And, our answer is because we're teaching them the mental habits of anxious, depressed, and polarized people.
Yeah, I blame. Look, say I'm a Gen Xer, right? So, but oddly enough, I have kids and the whole 9 yards, and they're younger. And I look around and I say, okay, I don't want to do that. For whatever reason, a lot of my generation has raised these kids whose minds, for all intents and purposes, are so fragile that at any given second, boom, they're going to fall apart. And I think to myself, how did we get here? Because were we latchkey kids? And then all of a sudden we said, well, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we have 2 chapters on parenting in the book, and those are probably 2 of my favorite chapters in the whole book. We had to do tons of research, talk to a whole bunch of experts. And what was so amazing for me doing this research was finding out how overwhelmingly experts and research show that, like, free time, letting kids some independence, giving them free play, all this kind of stuff that we kind of took for granted as kids is actually really, really good for their mental health. It's good for the creativity. And if this is all in the research, why are we doing exactly the opposite to our own generation?
It is crazy. Talking to Greg Lukianoff at his new book, The Coddling of the American Mind. And I know that you're the co-author of this. He's got a project about free-range parenting where you and I were growing up. What were we? We were just kids. That was parenting. Now it's free-range parenting, which is terrifying.
Yeah, it actually, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but, letting your kids run around and play, that was something that, we forget. Our parents actually valued that. Like, people like, much maligned Dr. Spock, he actually argued for, let it be. Let these kids, we've been figuring out how to do this since the Stone Ages. Like, let kids actually have some free time. And we forget all this ancient wisdom, which we talk a lot about in the book, and modern psychology, and that we shouldn't really be shocked that we end up with really terrible results.
Yeah. Oh, it's because when we were kids growing up, Mom and Dad used to say, all right, when the lights come on, you get your butt home. That's the way it goes. Nowadays, it's like we want kids to be active, but only if they're active in the backyard. Outside of that, it's basically when the lights go out, you turn off your computer. And it's so weird that we have this. Some of the other stuff you talk about in the book, and it is amazing, is this world that we have created for these kids. And they're self-entitled, and we've given them this. Every finger painting goes on the refrigerator, and they're all wonderful. Here's a trophy. And, oh, by the way, microaggressions and things like that, which still trigger warnings and all of these kind of things. It's the fragility of the mind of a younger generation that to me is very alarming.
Yeah, and I got to say, like, I don't envy these kids. And, that's one of the reasons why I don't call them snowflakes, because, like I said in the beginning, like, this is our fault. And one of the ways that you can really see how much of a toll this is having, the psychological outcomes for kids entering school right now, entering higher education right now, are awful. There has been a doubling in the rate of suicide for young women just between now and 2007. So when people say that almost when they seem to have skepticism that this is like a real mental health crisis, like, no, this really is a mental health crisis that we've created.
You look at academia, and, I look at academia and I see, especially now, the higher education academia, they live in this world of the safe spaces. They don't want to hear two sides of an argument. Everything is mean. And that to me is also very frightening, because that's also part of the mind, not just the way you were raised, but now what you're being exposed to. You're getting usually one side of a story, which is the left side of the story. And anything, if Milo comes to campus or Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder, you've got to have, signed special waivers that just in case something goes wrong, we're not held responsible. That's not good for anybody.
No, and definitely listeners should check out the chapters that we have on student illiberalism, student censors, and also censorship in the professors, because in some ways the professors are even liberal professors are seeing this as a problem, because they're realizing that their own students and administrators in a lot of cases are now coming for their speech. And we talk about the case of Brett Weinstein at Evergreen State University, absolutely horrifying case. We talk about Rebecca Tuvell, who wrote an article talking about transracialism and transgenderism, a thoughtful academic article, and we liken it, and we try not to be catastrophists here, but we liken it to a witch hunt, because what was happening was all of these professors around the country were suddenly writing these denunciations of this professor's a scholarship, while at the same time some of these very same professors were contacting her saying, yeah, I'm sorry, I signed that letter denouncing you, it must be what's happening to you is horrible. And it's like, what kind of craziness is going on when you actually have this environment where where it's a minefield for anybody to say something even slightly interesting?
Talking to Greg Lukianoff. His new book is The Coddling of the American Mind, How Good Intentions and Bad Ideas Are Setting Up a Generation for Failure. So that generation, let's say, Greg, they come out of school and they're in their early 20s and they're idealistic and they're completely, really, they've been set up for this wonderful world of utopia that they live in, and they're fighting for all of these things. Then they get in the world and the world throws a dodgeball and it hits them square in the nuts. And then they can look around and what do they have and how do they cope with that?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that people have been saying, is that essentially, like, these students who exist in these echo chambers, they're going to have a rude awakening when they get into the quote unquote real world. Well, here's what I've been saying to this the whole time. You're going to see that they're not just going to show up in the real world. They're going to try to change it, and some of that change is going to be pretty negative, particularly for businesses. And what we're hearing from business owners as this new generation arrives is some real chaos, particularly in certain industries. My co-author actually works in the business school at NYU, and he's hearing about this stuff all the time. And unfortunately, in the short run, we think this is probably going to mean a lot more lawsuits. It's probably going to mean a lot more Twitter controversies in which various, outrage mobs want you to hire or fire this person for reasons that have nothing to do with what your actual business model is. Unfortunately, we predict in the short term a lot of chaos for businesses.
When we were younger, we were growing up, the old saying, even before us, is if you're not a liberal when you're in your 20s, I'm a heart, but when you're not a conservative in your 30s. And I look at it today and the excitement about, socialism, which I look at socialism and the way that they want to present it in the Bernie Sanders of the world is, hey, we're going to extend your childhood even longer. But do you think at some point in time, these fragile minds are going to finally start to toughen up and maybe it comes later, the maturity of being a little bit more conservative and not as insane? Do you think that will come, or are we're looking at this new generation that is like you say, going to change business and the way that we do things and really make us, they make me pull my hair out at times. Not all of them, but a lot of them do.
Yeah, I waver back and forth between optimism and pessimism about this. Now, I'm optimistic in part because in talking to a lot of parents and educators, it's not like they don't know that this problem is here and it's happening and something needs to be done. And so far, the way our book's being received, it's not with sort of like the crazy kind of like these guys have to shut up, at least so far, that people want to tackle this problem. So that makes me somewhat optimistic. What I'm more pessimistic about is kind of what this is going to look like over the short term. What do we actually do when we've made the mistake of training students for an existence in which it's all polarized? It can only be one point of view, and that in the short term, I think it's probably going to be pretty ugly for a while.
You're a First Amendment, like you're an expert. I mean, you understand this. Did they understand like what our Constitution's about? Did they get it that the speech that we protect, the hate speech as they call it, is the speech that we're supposed to protect? Because the reality is hate speech to somebody like them is free speech to somebody else, and eventually they'll come for even your speech if you don't watch it.
Yeah, they don't understand that, but once again, this is our fault. Nobody's explained this to them, which is one of the reasons why my organization, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education, is trying to do a lot more education at a high school level. And universities who are now becoming more worried about intolerant students showing up, well, the first thing they have to do is have some part of orientation that explains basic concepts of freedom of speech, of academic freedom, that actually being offended in a lot of ways, particularly when it's in the course of an intellectual argument, is a wonderful thing. It's part of what higher education is supposed to be. But if nobody's ever told you that, how can we expect you to know that?
Well, they can't have those kind of Greg, there's no way that you can fit all of those introductions in college when you're too busy signing papers that say you acknowledge your white privilege and your cisgender and all of this stuff. How can you have something? Oh, by the way, what about free speech? So I look forward here, Greg, and we're talking to Greg Lukianoff. His new book is The Coddling of the American Mind, How Good Intentions and Bad Ideas Are Setting Up a Generation for Failure. Looking forward, I mean, 20 years from now, and I told everybody this yesterday, that like this generation is massive. They're more proactive than ever. They're still lacking in the votes the way that they, maybe a lot of people think they should be, but they are going to be the biggest generation when it comes to influence moving forward. Where do you see our society in 15 or 20 years later when they're finally out in the world, this millennial generation, they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs and all this stuff? Will we see a massive change of craziness, or will there be some stability along the way?
I really don't know. I think things could get a lot worse before they get better. And there's always a possibility that they just don't get better. I'm just painfully aware of the fact that freedom of speech is not normal in human history. Freedom of speech is the exception, not the rule. And I am worried that if we have a generation that sees disagreement as more or less a form of attack, that we're going to start seeing that showing up in the law as well.
Last question. Appreciate you coming on today. How's the left taking some of this? Because you take, essentially what you're doing is you're printing the truth, which for all intents and purposes means you're taking a swipe at some of their ideas. Have you heard from people out there who said, I've never really thought of it like that. It's interesting. You're kind of opening my eyes. Or is the usual, I'm not going to read the book, I'm just going to damn everything about you?
So far so good. We've actually been pleasantly surprised about it. I mean, it got a really good review in the New York Times. We've talked to a number of liberal professors who actually thought that our argument was much more primitive than it actually was. And they're also, particularly professors, are painfully aware of the fact that they could be next. Like they could be the next one who gets in trouble for something that they said that they thought was funny or something they said they thought was serious. So far, we've seen people on the left be actually surprisingly receptive to this. How long is that going to last? Will I be disinvited from campus? Who knows?
Absolutely. You're going to tweet something one day, and then 6 months later, it's going to be retro rage because it's now no longer funny, and then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Greg Lukianoff is his name. The Coddling of the American Mind, How Good Intentions and Bad Ideas Are Setting Up a Generation for Failure. Appreciate you coming on today. Go out and get the book. You can get it everywhere it's available, or good books are available on the Amazon and everywhere else. I appreciate this, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. I hope somewhere along the line, and I've said this over and over again, and I continue to do this, it's not everybody. the loudest are the ones who bitch the most, who have the bully pulpit because everybody else is doing their thing. But until the people who are just doing their thing start to wake up and go, yeah, stop acting like that, and their peers, we're going to have issues like this where you have microaggressions and craziness and fragile minds. We've got to figure this out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
You know, we do our part here. We care. Others don't. We do. Joining us now, Mandy Hale, Vice President of Nursing at DaVita Kidney Care. And, you know, people, and it's very interesting, Mandy, you know, we forget, like, there are issues across, you know, whether it's California and there's a massive earthquake or what's going on with Hurricane Florence, that there are people in hospitals and people even at home who have issues that they need to take care of in case of emergency. Like right now, people who are in the path of Hurricane Florence who have kidney issues, some need dialysis. There are some things that they need to do before they bounce.
That is absolutely a case. Our teams in our dialysis facilities have been preparing for this with our patients for several days now to be sure that they have the right things in their emergency evacuation kits, backup plans to obtain dialysis if they are evacuated or experience the closure of their dialysis facility. So there are many plans that should be in place to help keep our patients safe.
Hey, Mandy, talk to people, like, for people who don't understand, like, why somebody would need dialysis and how many times people could go and get dialysis a week and what potentially could happen to them if they don't get treatment.
Sure. So patients require dialysis when they no longer have enough kidney function to be able to meet the body's needs on their own. And your kidneys do important things like filter out toxins from your bloodstream or help remove extra fluid. And when those things don't happen, you can become very sick, critically sick, or experience so much fluid buildup that you have difficulty breathing. Ultimately, once patients require dialysis, they need dialysis to stay alive. And most patients will go to a dialysis clinic 3 times per week and receive treatments that are about 4 hours long.
Oh, I mean, again, that's the danger of stuff like this. And even people that have diabetes, right? For people out there, and there's a lot of people in America who take insulin, you need to be prepared just like anything else. And again, it doesn't matter if you're in California on the West Coast, an earthquake. These are just little things that you can do to prepare yourself, or you're on, the East Coast and you're facing, Florence, or, even through the Midwest and people who face, issues with flooding and tornadoes, that you should have stuff like a week's worth of stuff as a just in case, because it is the smart thing to do.
That's exactly right, especially with diabetes. Diabetes happens to be the leading cause of kidney failure in the United States. And so right now, many of my patients are experiencing this. And so for our patients who are diabetic, we encourage them to always have a week worth of supplies on hand. That would include glucose or blood sugar monitoring strips, their syringes, their actual insulin, all of those things that they use to monitor and keep their blood sugars in an acceptable range.
It's crazy. It's dangerous out there, people. Make sure that you have yourself prepared for anything as a just in case. Mandy Hale, Vice President of Nursing at DaVita Kidney Care. Appreciate you coming on today and talking about stuff like this, because we here at the Chad Benson Show, we do care, and we think everybody should be prepared for something like this. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's funny, before we started talking to Mandy, and we were talking about kidneys, because and this is the question of the day, and we're going to get deeper into it, but why shouldn't I be allowed to sell my kidney is a question. It's like, why shouldn't I? And I know there's legal things, this, that, and the other. I always hear people screaming about, it's your body, you should do what you want with it when it comes to a woman's choice. Well, it's my body. And the government tells me all the time the things I can't do with my body, what I can and can't put in there, what I can and can't do, as far as, hey, you can't sell your body for sex. That's wrong unless there's one place in America, a small little place in Nevada, or better yet, it's like I can't sell my kidney kidney because it's wrong and it's morally wrong. Why? Why? I'm curious. Take the poll at Chad Benson Show, 323-538-2423. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Election on the Senate side, I'll just list you a bunch of races that are dead even. Arizona, Nevada, Tennessee, Montana, North Dakota, Missouri, Indiana, West Virginia, and Florida. All of them too close to call, and every one of them like a knife fight in an alley. I mean, just a brawl.
Yeah, it is. It is a brawl. It's a brawl between, in many ways, two groups of people that I don't really care about. I'd be honest. We shy away from honesty in this day and age, but I don't care for the Republicans, and I don't care for the Democrats, partly because, well, both sides have let everybody down. I keep harping on this, but I want you guys to listen. I don't care who you vote for. I'm never going to tell you you need to vote Republican. There are plenty of shows out there, right? They're going to tell you you're a great patriot, you're a great American, all of those things, right? Listen to me, that kind of thing, and that they're gods and that they know all, and that I'm never going to do that to you. You vote for whoever the hell you want to vote for. You want to vote for Mickey Mouse? Oh boy, do it. Right? You want to vote for yourself? Go for it. You want to vote party line because you are living in an echo chamber? That's on you. Right? You hang out with people on the right. You hang out with people on the left. You only listen to it. You don't even care if the other person has any qualifications whatsoever. All you care about is checking off the boxes that you believe in, red, blue, and you move on with it. That's on you. I will never tell you who to vote for. Ever. But I don't want to vote for any of them, right or left. If I look at the Republicans and they falter, that's on them, right? Like that is. And look, naturally, you're going to give back a little bit.
Storm headed toward the coast. We know the wind's going to be in our face. We don't know whether it's going to be category 3, 4, or 5. And the reason I say that is you can't repeal history. And almost every election, 2 years into any new administration, the party of the presidency loses seats. They don't always lose the body, but almost always loses seats.
Yeah. That's normal. I mean, we do that. That's the way we as a collective group check the people in power. We give them power and then hold on. Let's pull back. I mean, is it different now because of Trump and we're going to impeach and all of this stuff? Yeah, 100%. I understand. I do. But when I look at, take the Trump out of it, right? If you can just for a second, just like humor me. What have the Republicans done to deserve this? I can say the same thing about the Democrats. They haven't done anything either. They haven't. And as you see and you're starting to hear and you're being inundated with, you name it, like, radio ads, television ads, online ads. Everything I see anymore is not how good a person is, but how bad the other side is. But if you look at it, I got to be honest, there are very few people out there on either side that deserve any votes. I hate the choosing the lesser of two evils because I just think that's just so disingenuous anymore. It's like, I'm going to choose them because it's the lesser of two evils. This is me. I'm pulling for this guy because he sucks less than that guy. Is an awful, awful thing. It really is. It is. And, Mitch McConnell and all of them could come out and they could talk about all these things and what's going to happen and all of this crap and the world's going to come to an end. But It's like the people on the left who come out and say, oh, my God, Kavanaugh's in there. It's like women are going to be in the back of the alley and we're going to go back in time. And I'm just like, do you really believe that? I mean, do you honestly think that? Do you honestly think that, that this is going to happen? It's not going to happen? Politicians are full of it. You know what they are? They're salesmen. And they're the worst kind of salesperson. They're the kind that is ridiculous, that is over the top, you see on television. They're Eddie Haskells. They're kiss asses and do nothing. They're more bark than bite. And the power that they have singularly is so small. It is. Because they're part of a wheel, and they're a spoke in the wheel. And that's it. So they tell you they're going to give you the world if you vote for them. They can't really give you the world. They tell you they're going to keep you away from all of these bad things from happening. Those bad things weren't going to happen. And now they're coming out and we're heading into midterms and we're just gosh, what are we, like 6 weeks away now? And the reality is I look at this and nobody on either side is worth a damn if you think about it. If you're honest with yourself. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm sure there's a few of them that are bad people on both sides. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, what is changing? Like, what if the Democrats come in? Well, Chad, they're going to destroy everything and they're going to crush everything. Look, I think there's some issues that the Democrats are going to try to do that could potentially slow down the economy, which I don't think is good. I think we can all agree with that. But that's the backlash that they will eventually fail. And they'll also be treading on certain, they'll also be treading on water that could be dangerous for them come 2020, because if they come in and we can draw a parallel between them taking over and then killing the economy and the boom, Trump will have a chance to stand up there and say, ha, it was you guys. This is what happens. With me, you had this. I think that's very real. But I think some of that also has to do with with us and our confidence about things. And remember, is it a blue tsunami? Chad's going to be a blue tsunami and then everything's going to go to hell and he's going to get impeached? They may try. I mean, Maxine Waters is screaming and yelling all the time that she's going to impeach, even when other people. It's funny because she even talks about how ever people tell her not to talk about that stuff.
I'm in this fight and I'm not going to move. And as you know, there's a difference in how some of our leadership talk about how we should handle all of this. They say, Maxine, please don't say impeachment anymore. And when they say that, I say impeachment, impeachment, impeachment.
She's nuts. And that's not being kind to people that are really out there. But you know why? People tell her, you know who it is? It's Chuck Schumer and it's Nancy Pelosi, because they've taken the temperature and they realize the country's not into an impeachment. They want no part of impeachment whatsoever. They don't. And that's the fear. That's the fear that they have, is people are going to start to worry that the Democrats are going to come in and the first thing they're going to do is start to go for impeachment. All hell's going to break loose. The market's going to tank, right? We're going to head into a dip in the economy, a slowdown, potentially a recession. And everybody's going to go, this is what happened. So they're worried about that. But it's all about themselves, And that's why I've been telling you, I joke about the alt-middle, but the reality is I'm an alt-middler. When people come to me and they say, Chad, I like the alt-middle thing. I've never really heard it. I say, what is it? I say, here's what I am. I am a true independent. Are you a libertarian? Because they always want to put you in a box. I don't want to be in a box. I'm me. You're you. You vote for who you want. I'll vote for who I want. I'll vote on the issues. And not everybody I agree with is going to be lining up with all of the issues that I like or agree with. They may be on a different side of an issue. But having an R or D by their name, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care that you're a Republican. I don't care that you're a Democrat. Tell me about you and why you're different than the person that you're saying is the worst person in the world. Tell me why you're different. But I say this. This is it. We're customers. Let's be a free agent with our votes in November. Be a free agent. Meaning come at stuff completely unbiased, as open as you possibly can be. And for a lot of people out there, it is hard because it has become a habit to be this side or that side. It has become a habit to be tribal. And look, there are tribes out there. We've got the biggest tribe. More people are identifying as independents than any time ever. And we're growing. And our tribe is big. And we have a voice that's louder. And I think if we're, and by the way, we're the ones who sway elections. It's not the bases. It's not their low-hanging fruit. Those people are built in. We're the ones. When the politicians come to out and talk and they're talking to an echo chamber when they go out and do the little rallies. The reality is we're the ones listening and we're the ones looking for the action and we're the ones that decide which way something goes. Not them. They know it's already built in. It's already baked into their cake. But they need some more ingredients, and we're it. That's why I implore you this year, if you've not done it before, I don't care who you vote for, but for a second, step back from the echo chambers that so many of us live in and the tribalisms that so many people live in and say to yourself, am I getting what I want out of this when it comes to these people? Am I? Am I asking the right questions even for myself when it comes to these people? When it comes to this issue? Am I being fair and giving it the time it needs to maybe go a little bit deeper to look into something to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to vote for that. Or no, you know what? I am going to vote for that. I know a lot of other people who maybe in my quote unquote tribe or whatever would say you don't vote for that. But I've looked at this and I say, you know what? I think this is something that's good. We've got to stop being scared and have to be honest. I think too many people are. It doesn't matter what the issue is anymore. Too many people are afraid to take some sort of stand when it comes to a lot of this stuff. That's enough, kids. It's time to. It really is. Take a stand. Be open-minded, independent. If you're looking for a tribe because you feel like, I'm getting thrown out of my tribe if I even think about that, you know what? We're welcoming. I don't care if you're right. I don't care if you're left. I don't care if you're gay or straight. I don't care if you're a Muslim or a Christian, a man or a woman, or you're just a person who doesn't identify with anything. I don't care. Come join our tribe. Alt-middle, independent, free thinkers. You'll feel good. And we're welcoming, and there's no meetings. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Hey, your bathroom. I'm talking about you. Yeah, you. Yeah, you're right there. Your bathroom's a mess. And you got all this crap, and it doesn't. Old razors that are awful. You've got horrible shaving cream. That's just, throw that away. Yeah, get rid of all of that stuff. Get the Dollar Shave Club. Get top shelf ingredients. It's not going to break your budget, that it's going to be amazing. And we're not just talking about razors and you know, a can of cream for your face. No, we're talking about real stuff. Dr. Carver's Shave Butter, amazing. 6-blade executive razors, shampoo, conditioner, body wash. Even got beard oil and hair care products, toothpaste, toothbrush, you name it, they have it. Not going to break your budget. You don't have to go anywhere. You can join today, $5, free shipping. This is what I want you to do. Go on their website, go to dollarshaveclub.com/Chad, right? When you go there, they're going to give you all these choices of daily essential starter set, right? They got a video in the whole 9 yards. You choose whichever one you want to start with. Order, it's $5, free shipping. After that, it ships at regular price, which is still nothing compared to the stuff they rip you off at the stores with. Join today, dollarshaveclub.com/Chad, dollarshaveclub.com/Chad, dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to the Alt-Middle, where solutions live and ignorance dies. The Chad Benson Show.
The one that's getting the most buzz is the least expensive, expected to be somewhere in the high $600 to low $700 range. Not cheap, but still a far cry from the $1,000 iPhone X they unveiled last time. This one will have an LCD screen, and the buzz is about the fact that it should be 6.1 inches. That's bigger than the current iPhone X.
So they're unveiling all the stuff with the iPhone, and then they've got... And Phil's like, dude, did you hear about the watch? So the watch is very interesting as well. But correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, because again, I'm not an Apple person. I've had Apple before. I mean, at Samsung and a lot of these other, all the phones have their drawbacks and stuff. I think a lot of times Apple people, it becomes a cult. But wasn't the whole thing about the screen was too big and people bitched about it being too big? Now they're going to big again. Wasn't that like the big thing?
It's so hard to tell because every time Apple releases something, they do some weird thing.
Yeah, so now they've got the screen's a big deal, apparently.
We've pushed the screens right to the edges, and we've curved the corners to perfectly match the shape of the watch. And the screens are significantly larger. In fact, they're over 30% larger.
And it's only $600 for the cheapest version. Now, they've got it. The new Apple Watch. Check out what this thing does.
This is the first ECG product offered over the counter directly to consumers.
Electrocardiogram. It's going to take you're going to get EKG right there. All kinds of things. Supposedly, it's supposed to detect.
It won't catch every instance of AFib, but we believe this is going to help a lot of people who didn't otherwise know they had an issue.
I got to be honest with you, I love that. I absolutely love that. I am all about, just the world of technology amazes me, and I've said it all along, man. I'm the first one to stand in line and say, chip me. Put something in my brain that's going to go Matrix style. I'll try it. I'm not talking about so I can go to work and scan myself. I'm talking about real things because it's going to happen. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm so excited. I look at the kids nowadays and I think to myself, man, the stuff that you guys are going to have an opportunity to, I'm going to see some of it. And God willing, we'll be able to create things that we've never thought before and see a lot more than we thought we would see. It's amazing. And to think that you have a watch that can have an EKG and maybe be able to detect AFib, it's amazing. It is. I don't always buy into all the Apple stuff because, again, I think sometimes a little cultish, but it is incredible just in general, all of these things that are out there nowadays. And I see people who resist it. And I think, why? Why do you resist? What are you afraid? They're going to follow us. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. I look at technology and I'm like, hell yeah, let's do something. I'm all about it. Let's do it. You want to turn me into a cyborg? We're going to do it. $6 billion man? Yep, let's do it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So speaking of that, I want to talk about something. It's our Twitter poll question of the day. We're going to touch on what it is. Is it your body to do with as you want? Is it your choice? Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Space Force that Donald Trump is very excited about. He announced that Space Force. People make fun of it. I among them.
Yeah.
I like space exploration. I'm excited about us conquering space scientifically and through knowledge. Why do we need the Space Force? What don't we understand about it? Because you say you're on board.
Well, just because it came out of Trump's mouth doesn't require that it then be a crazy thing. I'm just saying.
What? Wait, what? Neil deGrasse Tyson there talking about Space Force, which we all make fun of, right? Don't we all? I mean, we remember Star Wars, Reagan and Star Wars and all this stuff. Everybody's making fun of Space Force mostly because we want a cool patch. We all want to be a part of Space Force and we want to float around and be like space cops and all that kind of stuff. But he's got a very interesting take. And Colbert obviously wants to joke with him, but I think he was taken back by just because it comes out of Trump's mouth doesn't mean it's crazy.
I can tell you that many people are thinking that we didn't have a Space Force before, and now we're going to have a Space Force. We have a Space Force. It's called the United States Space Command, and it is under the auspices of the Air Force.
Really?
We already have a presence in space. The Air Force launches satellites. The Air Force put GPS satellites into orbit around the Earth.
So NASA didn't do that? The Air Force did that?
Air Force did it because it was a military project.
Yeah. Everything's military. You think that stuff they're firing off into space like, yeah, we're going to figure out how, the weather goes and we're just taking some temperatures out. You think a lot of that stuff is all just that's what it is? It's just going to help in certain things. Come on. Your dish TV and my dish TV that's floating around out there, satellites are great. You don't even know what those things are. You think, but you don't know. But when we think of Space Force, this is my thing. I understand the whole thing for Space Force. Because for us, as just when we hear it and we hear Space Force, we automatically go to, I want a uniform, I want a phaser, I want a patch. Like, I want to be a part of that. You know who I'd put it under, though? The Coast Guard. Because they don't get the love. Like, everybody else gets the love. Veterans Day, Memorial Day, all that stuff. You're like, oh, and the Coast Guard. Like, that's who I go, like, all right, we're going to give you guys a love. You guys are going to be guarding this coast and the super crazy coast.
The United States Space Command is responsible for all the space activities that the military has engaged in forever, ever since the 1960s, basically. And so to have a Space Force, you're just sliding all of these activities under this new umbrella. And then you might add a few things. In fact, if I had any say in the matter, I'd say, why don't you throw in asteroid defense?
Ooh,
we need some of that.
Yeah, that right there is vitally important. That to me, like, I like that. Like, and I'm still trying to figure out, I mean, do we have a plan? I mean, no, we have a plan, and I'm sure it's like a really crazy bad plan. Like, I saw Armageddon, right? But you wonder, it's like, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that something was heading our way. Like, what is the plan? Just curious.
This is not a new thing because we've had space assets, military space assets, since the 60s. What is a spy satellite? It's a space asset in the service of the military. The 2003 Gulf War was enabled by space assets.
Okay, but here's my thing: is that if you call it a space force, you're innately embracing the idea of space war.
Yeah.
Isn't the promise of the future in space is that we have peaceful frontiers?
Yeah, no. Look, anytime people can get somewhere, people will fight over wherever somewhere is. Anytime. Anytime somebody gets somewhere, somebody else will come along and will fight with that group over that space. Doesn't matter if it's a space down here on the ground, like this space is our space, or a space in the air. And I'd rather CYA myself and have Space Wars. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Last week we were talking about, the Kavanaugh thing and where this is going. And I said, look, it's going to end up, it potentially going to be a states' rights issue, which is what it should have always been all along. And people started hammering. It's like, states' rights, so states can do this, states can do that, and government should be able to tell you what you do with your body, and it's in particular to do with abortion. And I started laughing. I'm like, the government tells us what to do with our body already. It does. You don't own your body. You think you do, right? I mean, we've got government now trying to tell us how big our sodas should be or shouldn't be. We're told that we can't do this or that because it's illegal, right? Isn't that true? Absolutely, it's true. 100%. You can't do this drug. It's illegal. Well, it's my body. If I'm not hurting anybody, right? You can't do that. It's illegal. All the time they're telling us what we can and can't. If you're a woman and you say to yourself, I can make a lot of money selling my body, it's okay. To me, it's a business transaction. Same thing with a man. It's a business transaction. No more. The difference is I'm not going to pretend it's porn and put it on the screen. I'm just going to do it discreetly in my home, and it's not causing anybody any problems. And oh my God, it's wrong. But it's your body. It's nothing to do with them. government tells you all the time what you can and can't do. And I said today, and I'm asked the question, and that's our poll question today is, why shouldn't we be able to sell a kidney or a liver? Your liver, you can't sell your liver. Yeah, you can. They take out a part of your liver. Your liver regenerates itself. It's the one part that regenerates itself. One organ, in your body. Why shouldn't you be able to? Well, then the rich are going to what? The rich will take advantage of it by buying your kidney? What if your other kidney goes bad? If one kidney fails, your other kidney's going to fail. That's the way it works usually. That's the way it happens for all intents and purposes. But why? And I think it's a really honest question. When we scream and yell all the time, it's about choice. It's about my body. Well, this is my body. But you can do it out of the kindness of your heart. No. For maybe a loved one. Absolutely. But you think about the things that you're going to have to go through. So you better really love that person, right? Like don't be all George Lopez about it. Chad, you're a jerk. But think about it for a second. It's your body. Why shouldn't you be able to do with it what you want as long as you're not hurting somebody else? And if somebody comes to you and you're poor, well, the rich will prey on the poor. Will they? Well, yeah, because they'll have the money to buy. Okay, so they have a transaction. And you're struggling and you're poor and somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'll give you $100,000 for a kidney for my wife or my husband or my son or my daughter. And you're struggling and you're like, wow, $100,000. I'm not going to miss my kidney, really, and that $100,000 is going to go a long way. How is that wrong? How are you being preyed upon? It's not like they're coming and next thing you know, you wake up and you're inside of a packed ice bathtub and your kidneys disappeared. It's above board transaction. But I think it's a fair question to ask. Is it your body or is it not your body? But I want choice because it's my body. Well, this would be a choice too, and it's my body. Oh, that's an interesting thing. I think it's very interesting. I think in this day and age, these are questions that you know what? I was like, this is the stuff that I and weirdly at times I think about. And the argument of people, well, it's immoral. According to whose morals? Is that 100+ people die a day waiting for things like kidneys? Waiting for a very long time? And I was talking to somebody on Twitter, and I try to get back to everybody. I don't always have a chance to get back to everybody. I try to get back to everybody. And, he's like, well, it's immoral. So if you give somebody an inch, they'll take a yard. And I'm like, it's no big deal. And he said, whose morals, first of all? Well, my morals. Well, your morals aren't my morals. What about the 1%? What about the 1%? If the 1% want to buy a new kidney and they've got the money and it's a transaction, they're not forcing you to do it and you willingly do it, is that wrong? If you can help your family get out of a situation? I think it's a very fair question in this day and age. As we talk about freedom and liberty and all of these types of things, it's fair. And in some states, they give you a little, like I think Utah and a couple other places, they can give you some sort of weird, it's like baloney, but you can rent your womb. Right? You can sell your eggs, your sperm, your plasma, little things like that. But we tiptoe to the edge on something like this. My kidney would be worth a ton. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've never done a drug. I've never even tasted alcohol. They might go, dude, you got a PK, platinum kidney. That goes for $250,000. I'm like, all right. I do think it's a really fair question this day of, we talk about Kavanaugh doing this, that, and the other. Why shouldn't we look at something like this? And the amount of people, what's weird? Iran does this. They don't have weights. People aren't dying. And unfortunately, there is this weird tourism side of things because, people will go places. So why not bring it above board? And if we can help people, I'm not saying, give somebody your heart. Come on. And here's the other thing. People who die and then they donate their organs, take a kidney, for instance, you have a better chance of taking somebody's living kidney than somebody who's passed away. Little things like that. But what do you think? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So when you hear people say, well, you shouldn't be allowed to tell me what to do with my body, the government should have no place in there, I agree. But they already do. And if you think about it in a very, not just the micro of a situation or whether it's pro-choice or pro-life, but the macro of the whole thing of what the government already tells you what you can and can't do. 70% of you right now say, yeah, it's your body. Why not? 30% say, no, it's immoral. It's wrong. Okay, according to your morals. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Car Shield is amazing. A lot of driving this weekend. I do a lot of driving. My cars, I've got Car Shield on everything. Right? There's a reason for that, because I don't buy new cars. I buy cars that are used, that are in great shape. I take care of them as best as possible. But we know in this day and age that sometimes things happen and you don't have a warranty, and you look up and next thing you know, they're asking you for $1,900 and you're like, oh, goodness me. With Car Shield, the entire process of fixing your car for a cover repair has never been easier. You get to choose the place you want your car to be worked on. Which is, to me, I find that to be so refreshing, because too many times you hear about some of these places and they tell you got to go to this place. And this place doesn't care about your car. They're just doing the quickest, easiest job, and they're getting out. You're on a conveyor belt, not them. Take it to the dealership. They get it handled. Paid them directly. On top of that, you get roadside assistance, and you get a rental car while your car's in the shop. So you're covered, and that's amazing. So do what I did. Get the extended vehicle protection from CarShield, called 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson to visit carshield.com. That's carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%, or call 800-CAR-6100. Code Benson. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Somebody texts in and says, of course Iran has people who give their kidneys, sell them. They're called political prisoners. No, they're not, actually. They sell for about $3,000 to $4,000. And remember, it's Iran, and there is other ways of going about doing it, and some tourism where, middlemen come in and take a lot of the money, but it's something that they do, and I look at it and I say, why not? I mean, just if you could. Now, we all think about, what if my sister or my brother or my dad or my mom or somebody needed it? I get it. But if you're sitting there and you had the opportunity, would it be awful? And you got $100,000 out of it? It's your body. It's your kidney. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So Mark Wahlberg has revealed his workout plan. Now, Phil, this is his day, and it looks so similar to what you do. Wake up at 2:30, check. Prayer time from 2:45 to 3:15, which then you have breakfast. Then you have workout from 3:40 a.m. to 5:15. Then you have your post-workout meal. You shower. At 7:30, you golf. 8, you have a little snack. Cryo chamber at 9:30, which is like, I can't get enough of my cryo chamber. I just like, what are you doing, Chad? Like, if I could just live in here, like the bubble boy. 10:30, got a little snack. Family time at 11, and some meetings and workout, some work calls. 1 p.m., you got lunch. More meetings at 2. Pick up the kids at school at 3. Snack at 3:30. Workout number 2. At 4 p.m., shower at 5. Dinner at 5:30, and then to bed. That's a guy who's got a routine. Right? I'm a huge believer of routines. I've got a routine. I try to stick a lot to my routine every day. I do my little goals and the things that I have to get done for the next day. I write them out. I've got all that stuff. I think routines are vitally important. And what it shows me is you have discipline in something, right? You've got discipline. Like what you're doing, you're disciplined in, and you're able to do that. It says a lot. It really does. That's a lot of working out, though. I don't know. I have 2 workouts in there. I'm all about the golf. Like, I've become super obsessed with golf. Like, that's my obsession right now, is golf. And I try to play like 5-6 days a week. Either I'm putting or I'm chipping or I'm playing 3 or 4 rounds or I'm out for 4 or 5 hours just working on my game. I'm obsessed with golf when I have the time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. MyPillow. We're going to get Mark Wahlberg to get a MyPillow, huh? But sleep a little bit better. Maybe. Probably. Heck yeah, he would. And he needs it with all that working out, the productivity. That's what good sleep does for you. It really does. And how it could help you with the productivity is immense. And the fact that the lack of sleep that people get, it really causes you to have health problems on top of everything. So why don't you make a small little change I think will give you big benefits? And it is MyPillow. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty, and now backed by popular demand. Buy one, get one free. The BOGO offer. Call 800-944-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson, BENSON. You get 2 MyPillows for the price of one. You're going to get a better night's rest with the world's most comfortable pillow. You're going to love it. Small changes, big return on investment for your body and health. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, or call 800-944-4975. MyPillow.com, use promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. Here's your useless fact of the day. Pineapples. You love them, right? Takes 3 years for a pineapple to go to full maturation, to be a full-grown pineapple. Hence the reason why they're a little bit more expensive. It took 3 years to make that thing you're about to gobble. Have a good rest of your day. We're over to Hump, kids. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.